Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I am the Gothic Rose, and this is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. If this is your type of content, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and hit that bell, because I am not going to stop. Hello, dear fiends of the Den. I am back with more of the Epstein saga and this whole cover up. It is absolutely crazy. And yes, there will be more haunted history of Hollywood this weekend, as well as a tribute to Malcolm Jamal Warner and the late, great Prince of Darkness, Ozzy. I'm still not over either of these yet. So let's talk controversy. I want to start with the fallout from this entire controversy because it is not going away. So, the Justice Department's July memo stating that there's no Epstein client list and no further documents will be released has triggered MAGA backlash. So, influencers like Laura Loomer and Charlie Kirk, who then changed his mind and sided with his friends in the government, and Alex Jones accused Trump of a cover up. And now these internal rifts between FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino reportedly clashed with Pam Bondi, and he may resign. There's still no proof of this, but the rumors persist. Now, of course, Trump calls this a hoax, and now he couldn't blame it on Biden. He tried to blame it on Clinton. That wasn't working so well. He blames it on Obama and wants him arrested for treason, which actually prompted Barack Obama to respond. Even having to make a statement like this is outrageous. So, he writes, well, through his spokesperson, Patrick Rodenbush, he writes, out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response. But these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Of course, this is after Trump's press conference and all over social media and his AI images of Obama being arrested and in an orange jumpsuit. He accused Obama of orchestrating treasonous conspiracy to undermine his 2016 election victory. This was an election no one said he cheated at. We were just pissed that he won. So he's citing newly declassified documents from the National Intelligence Director, Tulsi Gabbard. And of course, these have been widely criticized as misleading and politically motivated. Of course it is. So Obama's team emphasized that the documents did not contradict the bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee's 2020 findings, which concluded that Russia interfered in the 2016 election but did not manipulate votes. And that report was led by none other than then Senator Marco Rubio, who is now Trump's Secretary of State. So all of these accusations make absolutely no sense. Now let's get back to why this matters with Epstein so much. Well, now there's a ton of congressional pressure, but Mike Johnson just called recess until September. He did that yesterday on July 22nd. 2025, Congress is taking a paid vacation. They're not even losing pay, and they're probably still insider trading. And they're not going to bring this whole Ghislaine Maxwell testifying before Congress to a vote, although they reached out to her. The attorney general reached out to her to speak, and her lawyer said she would testify truthfully, but people are saying that Trump, his team, his lawyers, Pam Bondi are reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell to strike a deal before she tells the real truth and maybe thinking of releasing her from prison. Who knows if any of this is going to happen, but if they're saying that there's no crime and they're not going to prosecute any of these Johns, then she should not be in prison. That's just ridiculous. She just took the fall for a bunch of men. But as I said in my short, I do admire Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie for pushing for this vote to force the document release because, regardless of what side of the aisle we're on, especially as women, we all know how important this all is. Now, the distractions are Trump administration banning Chinese entities from owning land near US military bases. But it used a misleading map that exaggerated Chinese holdings in Arizona, and some critics are saying that this is stroking xenophobia and distracting from real threats and also the Epstein scandal. And then, he's just pushing forward with all of the Project 2025 things, and he's pushing forward with the auto pen signature and reigniting debates about presidential capacity in the 25th Amendment. But why would he be doing that when he looks like he needs the 25th Amendment right now? But the thing is, Donald Trump has been talking about a friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. I looked into it. It goes back no earlier than the late 80s. So in 2002, Trump told New York Magazine that he'd known Epstein for about 15 years. So that would date their relationship back to the late 80s. And if you saw that interview with Ivanka Trump from many years ago when she was looking at her childhood room and she looked really sad for a moment, the late 80s would have been when Ivanka was 6, 7 years old in that room to have had anything possibly happen to her. So then in the 1990s, so 1991, Trump was part of the teen pageants. In 1992, Epstein and Trump were frequently seen together, including a Calendar Girl event at Mar-a-Lago. And this is reportedly and allegedly where only Trump and Epstein were the only two male guests the whole night. Everything else was girls. Now, there was just a podcast interview that I caught. Anyway, he was saying something to the effect of he got out of this party that Trump was part of. You guys just go and Google that because it's a little sensitive information and, just trigger warnings there. But the issue is that he was in the 90s, the early 90s now, seen with Epstein. And then there's been footage and a few photos that came out that in 1993, Jeffrey Epstein was at Donald Trump's wedding to Marla Maples, which, I mean, that makes sense if they had known each other since the late 80s. And it makes me wonder maybe if there's a reason Ivanka or Ivana, I'm sorry, Ivana divorced him at that time. Maybe she found out that something was going on. Maybe Ivanka told her something. Now, of course, 1993, the same year he married Marla Maples, the flight logs show that between 1993 and 1997, Trump flew on the Lolita Express, Epstein's private jet, 7 times. And this was mostly between Palm Beach and New York. And by this time, Marla Maples had divorced him. And there is an alleged rumor that Melania and Trump were on the Lolita Express together, for the first time. Now in the 2000s, Maxwell, Epstein, Melania Trump, and Donald Trump were photographed together. And then what happened in the year 2004, their friendship reportedly soured, and this was over a real estate dispute involving a Palm Beach mansion. So they started to go wrong after, let's say, I don't know, 15 years of friendship, almost 20 years of friendship. So Trump distanced himself from Epstein at this point. And then again, especially after his arrest in 2019, saying he hadn't spoken to him in 15 years and was not a fan. That could be true. It really could. There's absolutely no proof of that at this particular moment. But I'm going to look into it just in case. Now, the reason that I bring this all to your attention is because my personal belief is that when JD Vance and Usha Vance went out to the Murdoch Ranch in Montana, they were getting media advice because they're getting ready to step into the role of president and vice president. Now, where does this come in? Well, Peter Thiel, who backed and basically, they say, allegedly chose JD Vance as vice president, as the running mate for Trump, his whole vibe, his whole money trail, I should say, from 2014 to 2016, he had meetings with Epstein, like multiple meetings, and one included the Russian diplomat Vitaly Churkin. So, in 2015, 2016, Epstein invested 40 million in Thiel's Valor Ventures fund, which later grew to nearly 170 million, and this is money that can't be touched, and his victims are very bothered by that. Now, Peter Thiel did comment on the Epstein money trail, and he said that he regretted the association. He was a bit naive about him. And on the one hand, I can see business is business, money is money, investments are investments. But on the other hand, your reputation precedes you, and he was okay with doing business with a man who had that reputation. C'est la vie. Hmm? So here's my theory, dear fiends of the den. My theory is everyone knew about Trump and Epstein's partnership. Everyone knew about this being Trump's Waterloo. Now, when Epstein died in prison, Trump thought he was scot-free. He was at the end of his first term of presidency, assuming he would be elected again in 2020, and he was not. So he started reaching out with his feelers. And everybody knew that Trump was going to become this fascist type dictator, which he is becoming. So I believe that the Epstein files being a controversy right now is more manufactured by the bigwigs behind the scenes, and JD Vance being Thiel's pick, going to see Murdoch, and I'm very, very sure Thiel and Murdoch are good friends as well. I believe that they're not going to let this story drop because they are not happy with the chaos created by Trump. All the players are the same, and I believe that Thiel knows as much as Elon Musk claims to know right now with this list, logbook, files, whatever it is that is supposed to exist. So, dear fiends of the den, let me know what you think. Please add your voice and any clues. I'm looking up everything. The Dark Entertainment is your place to find the weirdest things. So, if you have anything to add, anything at all, leave a comment, or if you have a big long story, email me at welcome to the den podcast at gmail.com. And thank you for joining me in the den.